and my mind began to whirl. It's a piece called "The Plot Against America," and it's written by a guy named Mike Brock, who I'm unfamiliar with, and I tried to reach him today, and I can't find a way to reach him. And the emailer, Derek, was kind enough to say, "Well, I'll try too." Maybe Derek's more familiar with this guy's writings. He's written frequently for a Substack called The Circus. I think John Haidt can corroborate that.
Yes.
I don't know a lot about that Substack, but it's called The Circus. And boy, I don't know where to begin, but I'll begin with this. It's really an interesting piece, and it's fascinating, and a lot of it makes sense. And I don't even think it falls in the realm of conspiracy. I think what this Brock fellow is doing, and it's pretty well written. It's a long, long piece. Takes you a long time to read it. But I certainly would suggest that GLers read it. That what's going on in Washington right now is so far ahead of the curve of anything we know that we just don't know it.
Okay.
And that Trump is basically an extremely useful idiot for what's taking place. I don't even mean that. I mean that in the fullest sense of the definition of that term.
I understand.
He is the perfect guy to be president while the people who are really going to fashion things are doing their job. So it's this Brock's contention that Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and a bunch of economists whose names I can't even pronounce, and I've never heard of them. There are some cases they're Austrian, and other cases American. They're not even necessarily bad guys. The analogy I've come up with is it would be like if a group of naval architects went to the rainforest and discovered the canoe-making habits of a previously unknown tribe. And they would say, this is how you call this a boat? you think this is a canoe?
Right.
Look at how long it takes you to do this.
Your efficiency is terrible.
You're weaving cattails into this thing. Here's how you make a canoe. So the analogy being that Musk and his buddies, who are undeniably ahead of the curve in many aspects of the world, they get to Washington and they go through a place like USAID, the United States Aid for International Development, and they toss us a few bits like, look at we've paid for a Sesame Street production in Iraq, and we're putting on LGBT operas in Colombia and whatnot, because that gets us fired up. We can identify with that kind of waste.
Yes.
But I think what this Brock thinks they're really doing is thinking, A, does this agency even need to exist? And B, if it does, it's being run real poorly. You'll note, I bet everyone's seen the latest where Musk has discovered that if you want to fire a federal employee, you have to retrieve the records from a limestone mine somewhere in New Jersey or Pennsylvania, where all the records are on paper and they're all in this underground vault. Have you guys seen that?
No.
It's in the
No, I've not
news.
seen
It's
it.
been in every news site. It's very...
I didn't know. I did not see
the
this.
point being that Musk looks at stuff like that, and he just shakes his head and he said, you people are Neanderthals. He must look at the whole United States government and think, you people are idiots. And then Brock goes on to suggest that not even very long term, maybe within 4 years, that the end game, because I've been wondering that before the Brock piece was made available to me. I kept saying, well, what's Musk's end game? What he doesn't need any money.
Right.
He might covet even more power if such a thing exists, but he's got $400 billion. He doesn't need any money.
Right.
So what's in it? here.
Do you believe that maybe he is, in fact, he's of right mind in trying to trim waste?
Well, it goes beyond trimming waste. I don't think Musk and his merry band of Peter Thiel and a bunch of economists who we can't pronounce their names, I don't think he thinks everybody in Washington is corrupt. He doesn't think that, Mrs. Graufaufal, who goes to work every day and works at USAID, is there to steal money.
Right.
She's just part of a system that a guy like Musk would look at and think is so impossibly antiquated that it can't possibly work. At the very least, it can't possibly work efficiently, competently. It's outdated. Now, the wrinkle in this, if you keep following Brock's thinking, is it therefore would stand to reason for Musk and his followers that the very concept of the constitutional republic or democracy itself is outdated. It needs to be replaced by a new paradigm, a new dynamic.
Reimagined?
Exactly. You could take the word that the Mysterians, and these people aren't Mysterians. Mysterians are born basically from a disdain for America. They have a disdain for us, for culture, for America, for capitalism, for entrepreneurship. They have a disdain for that. That's what Mysterians are, and Mysterians are going to be left in the dust if any of this is even half true. I don't think what they're up to is born of a disdain for America. I think they look at it as a company that can be much better run. Yes?
Isn't that exactly what you've been asking for years now?
Well, I don't know. This article is so mind-boggling. It leaves me wondering, what have I been asking for? Certainly, I would like efficiency and competency, but these guys we're talking about, if I'm reading this correctly, there will be no more president. There wouldn't be any more Congress. There wouldn't be any more Senate. I don't know about the judiciary. I don't know how laws would be enforced. But it's not, they're so far out there in their minds that they're not doing it because they hate America. They're doing it because this is what they do. They look at an operation and they figure out, well, how in the hell can I make this about 15,000 times better than it already is? And they look at this and they think, you people are Neanderthals. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. This isn't the way you should be doing business because, again, they're looking at it as a company. Now, is there a clue to any of this? Is there a clue? Trump has repeatedly said and is yet to retract a statement that he's made on a number of occasions, and that is, don't worry, you'll never have to vote again. All right? Now he said that. That's not Black Helicopter. That's not me making it up. Trump has said this. Here's a New York Times piece. Let's let the euphorians describe it. Here's a New York Times piece from July 30 of just this past July, 2024. Former President Donald J. Trump, in an interview broadcast Monday night, repeated his recent assertion, this one's to Christians, that they will never have to vote again if they vote for him this November, and brushed aside multiple requests to walk back or clarify his statement. Mr. Trump said last Friday, I love you. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
I remember that quote. I don't know what it means.
Is this a clue? Mr. Trump says, Fox News' Laura Ingraham noted that Democrats have highlighted that quote as evidence that Trump would end elections and urge Mr. Trump to rebut what she called ridiculous criticism. But Mr. Trump declined to do so, repeating a pattern he frequently employs in which he makes a provocative statement that can be interpreted in various ways and makes no attempt to quiet the uproar. The comment was especially striking given his attempts to overturn the 2020 election and his shattering of other democratic norms. It could be I'm just having fun here. Let's have fun.
Let's have some fun.
Let's have our minds go with imagination.
Hi, this is Peter.
Okay. It could be that Musk and his buddies are going, oh, I wish you wouldn't say that. They might have let Trump in just enough to that Trump has a vague idea of what the plan is.
Okay.
Useful idiot. He's their perfect, Michael Brock calls him, their perfect battering ram. Because he's, all you have to do is keep patting him on the back and saying, boy, are you cool. And he just goes on. He just says, that's cool. I am cool. I'm great. I'm great. And in the meantime, they're really they're getting to the bottom of things by saying, this is ridiculous the way this country's run. It's ridiculous. And the end game would be, it won't be run this way anymore. That would be the end game.
You think Trump is being run by Musk?
Absolutely.
Your derangement system has gone way
This has
off.
nothing to do with.
Oh my
I'm
God,
almost
Joe.
I'm
All
almost
of
feeling
this-
sorry for Trump.
all of this sounds-
He's a foil.
Everything I've read and everything you've said so far sounds like liberal bullshit because you hate Trump.
Oh man, you got you're too
Joe,
clever by
it's-
half. This has
I'm
nothing
trying-
to do with hatred of anybody.
I'm trying to read this plot against America.
Well, it's going to
and
take you 2 hours, and you should do it in a
it's-
private room and be quiet about
It's
it.
nonsense.
Well, I don't think it is. I think it's fascinating.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Would you prefer everything that you just laid out?
Yeah.
And I'm not. I kind of siding with Kenny. I don't think that's what's going on because I don't think anyone's capable of running Trump. But anyway, would you prefer to live in that world or
Let me start off with 2 words. Made in America.
or whoever the hell was running Biden for 4 years?
Well, that's one thing they have in common. According to Joe, they're being run.
I don't know enough to tell you.
Well, the answer is come on.
No. I don't know. I don't know where we fit into this plan. Where does the American citizen fit into
We're
this
just eating
plan?
our popcorn and watching her go.
Exactly. What happens to us if this is what they're doing?
Well, wouldn't you try to side with the fact that if they continue to reduce government waste, it will help our own personal bottom line?
Get over the idea of government waste. Get over that. Well,
that's what he's there to do.
They're a light year beyond government waste.
Okay.
That's not what they're dealing with.
All right.
They tell us that's what they're dealing with because we can absorb that and understand it. But they're beyond worried about it. It's like I said, it's naval architects going into the rainforest and saying, you call this a canoe? Here's how you make a canoe.
All right.
And we'll make it in 10 minutes. It's taken you guys 6 months. No, they're beyond waste. They're on to something else. And you asked me, wouldn't I prefer that? How can I answer that when I don't know what it is? I don't know where this leaves you or me or Hyde or Rook or Kenny. Where does this leave us? I don't know. I have no idea. But I do know that big things are happening and they're part of it.
Rook, are you offended he didn't send the story to us?
Yeah,
I
think you know I wasn't
thought
gonna
about
read
it, but then thought, who am I kidding?
Right. There were no cliff notes. I want chat GPI.
J.D. Vance apparently has a big role in this. He's been mentored, tutored, and bought and paid for by Peter Thiel, about whom I don't know a great deal. There's an economist called Balaji Srinivasan is writing the blueprint. Elon Musk is laying the infrastructure. And the young operatives now wiring AI models into the Treasury Department, disbanding the civil service, bypassing traditional government, and replacing democratic accountability with technological sovereignty are working toward a future that would long outlast Trump himself. This is not about Trump. This is about what comes after him.
Okay.
Now,
So he's setting the table?
if Kenny's right, there's a part of me that would be greatly relieved. If this is all just some blithering idiot making this up for his Substack, that's okay. But there's too much of it that makes sense based on what we're seeing in Washington right now.
So we as citizens and voters are going to just sit here and let this happen to us?
Well, I'll repeat, I don't know what this means for us.
And then if we rise up against us, our family members who are in the military are going to come after us and I don't know, shoot us down, oppress us, take our firearms.
No, based on what I've read, this has nothing to do with turning the military on the American public. Nothing.
Well, I'm looking in far into the future like you are, and I'm seeing Americans rising up and saying, nope.
You think the average Walls voter in this state could do anything to stop this? They don't know any more about it than I do.
Well,
in fact, they now know less. The average guy at Costco still wearing his pajamas, do you think he gives a bleep about this?
Not until it's too
It
late.
won't. It won't.
Not until it's too
You'll
late.
wake up and this will have happened.
Right.
So for pushback, first of all, you got to know what you're pushing back against, and then you got to decide, is it worth pushing back against?
Well, the average Trump voter or the average Walls voter already hates Trump to the degree that anything he does or his administration does, they're automatically going to be opposed to it.
And that's what this article is.
Yeah.
Reverse, that's exactly what this is.
No, I don't think this is Trump doing anything. I don't think this
You
is
think
Trump.
this is Trump setting the table for
I don't even
post-Trump?
think he's setting the table. I think they were holding their breath, hoping Trump got elected. He got elected. They move in. He's their perfect. They couldn't ask for a better guy to be president while they do their thing.
May I add one thing to
Yes.
that, too? Without $250 million from Elon Musk, who this guy thinks is part of the ringleader, he doesn't get reelected.
That's
I mean,
right.
he can't even stay in the
They
race. basically.
needed him to be elected in order to do this. Now, listen. I told you we're having fun. We're letting our minds wander.
What do you make of him saying when he was asked by the Fox News reporter, J.D. Vance, as your successor? And he said,
Nope.
too early. Too early to tell. It's not. He's not. John, what did he say? He didn't say he's not ready yet, but not at this time.
Not at this time, yeah. And the guy kind of pressed it, and he still said he wouldn't.
He said 2 years down the road when, midterm elections are, he's going to.
They probably are very careful in what they allow Trump to know.
Did you just cash a huge check from the DNC?
Kenny, you're really off base on this one, which surprises me. That
Well,
has
me
nothing
and
to
the
do
list-
with the DNC.
Me and the listeners. This is Democratic Party BS.
Well,
I don't think the guy has anything to do with the Democrats.
this has nothing to do with the DNC.
From
Take
reading
your
his
mind
pieces.
to a higher level and think in the future. What are guys like Musk really up to? Do you think Musk gives a bleep that we spent $10 million for a LGBT opera in Colombia? I don't. I think he's discovered that as part of the folly of the way it's
Here,
run.
let me answer that. Yes, I think he does. Why is that, Joe? Because he's a prominent figure who owns several businesses in this country and therefore is probably looking at his own bottom line and trying to reduce what he's obligated to pay from a tax standpoint.
And what does Musk do every time he starts or buys a company?
He guts it.
He starts over.
Right.
Well, what if he's looking at the United States government as a company?
Let's go.
It's amazing that he's doing what you've been asking for years, and now you're against it.
Kenny, I said that exact thing before
This
you
is
signed
exactly
in.
what you've been yelling about for the last 20 years, Joe. And now you're getting it, and you're unhappy.
No, first of all, I'm not unhappy. And second, I still think that I must have failed miserably in expressing the point that's being made in the Brock piece. The point being made is that the end game, which I've been seeking, might be no more government. I don't think you can claim that's what I've wanted.
You've been asking for reduced government.
Well, that's a lot different than no more government.
Well, we're saving a few bucks.
efficiency and competence to these guys would be an afterthought to what they're doing. In their minds, they would be saying, well, of course there'll be efficiency, and of course there'll be competence. We're going to do this algorithmically. They'll have quantum computers in the Oval Office. There won't be a president. It'll be AI.
Algorithmically?
I think I made that up.
So are you for or against this piece? Are you for or against what is being proposed in this piece? Do you like this? Is this a bad idea? Is this a good idea?
Well, because Reavers asked me the very same question, I'll answer the same way. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know if this is a good idea. My instincts are that it's not. My instincts are that this replaces the voter. It replaces the voter.
Well, that's suspicion, though.
And that the power would be held by those with the most information, who would be these guys. I don't know where that leaves the guy who owns a hardware store in Wichita. We're still going to need brooms and screwdrivers and nuts and bolts, but I don't know what. All I know is I don't know bleep.
Well, no, wait. Before this breaks down, what we really need is his tax dollars. We need all of our tax dollars. That's how this country is run.
Yep.
And that's what I see Musk as saving us.
In fact, not to add to your, but Kenny, wasn't that one of the things they want to get rid of income tax? Wasn't that one of their campaign ideas / promises? Mm-hmm. What if that's part of this then? We don't need income tax.
You need a garage door that works.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Precision Door MN is your...
Until Elon shuts down all garage doors in the country.
All openers are banned.
I've never met 3 idiots who have misunderstood this.
Thank you for excluding me.
Why don't Matthew show Joe the YouTube comments during this next break? Just let Joe read what GLers are saying about him today.
Go get him, boss.